Not a lot of innovation has happened in payments since the onset of debit and credit networks. But over time, you're going to see open banking shift to really providing innovation in the payments rail. I think we're still relatively early. If you think about PSD2, the Second Payment Services Directive, which is what created the modern open banking movement in the UK and Europe, it really only came into force in September of 2019. And the reason for that is it does require an amazing amount of coordination across the ecosystem. You have to have incumbent banks, standard setting, third-party providers like Plaid, end users providing feedback, regulators getting involved, and all of that in an iterative cycle to improve the quality and get it up to the point where it's a full payment rail. And now you're at the place where open banking payments is taking off in the UK, and open banking generally is taking off. The European Union and the UK regulators are going to do a lot of work to make sure that it's useful as a full payment rail. I'm excited to see it take off in the years to come, because I do think we're really at the beginning of an early transition. And if you think about how people run their life, right? Everyone's using online payment methods, online banking, fintech applications, or financial services embedded in other applications in a way they maybe were never doing that before. I think one of my favorite stats from March of last year was the fastest growing segment for PayPal at that time, that was during the first lockdown, was people over 50 years old. So you had entire generations that hadn't used fintech moving into fintech. If you think about the implications of adding in open banking payments into this world, I think you're right at the beginning of that journey. In the next 10 years, it's going to become something that's normal for everyone in their lives in the UK and Europe. PSD2 means for most payments that you make, you're going to have to do some sort of step up two-factor authentication with your traditional card payments. When you start to see that roll out across Europe, you're actually going to see open banking payments provide a much better user experience where you're not having to type in anything, you're just using your biometrics to authenticate yourself. The other thing is that with faster payments in the UK and SEPA Instant in Europe, you're talking about instant settlement payments. So you're not waiting for 2 or 3 days for this to batch and reconcile and then be recognized in the business's bank account. These payments happen in less than 10 seconds, less than 5 seconds typically. And finally, the last thing is just cost. Because this has been enabled by PSD2, you can offer it at a lower price than most other payment methods. And so ultimately that offers benefits to app developers, fintech developers, merchants, anyone who's using this as a rail, because that's just money that's going directly into their bottom line or being passed on as savings to consumers in the long run. But every day we talk to startups or fintech app developers or other tech developers who have a brand new idea that we'd never heard of before. And that's the real fun in this space, is it really does enable innovation when you have these type of easy tools available where people can build something that didn't exist 5 or 10 years ago. There are more tools today to enable you to build great new applications than there have ever been in history. So if you think about how hard it was to be an entrepreneur in the era before cloud computing, where you'd have to spin up your own servers to build something, AWS and Microsoft Azure and Google Cloud really changed that. I think you're seeing the same thing happen in financial services and fintech, where all the pieces of building fintech apps, there's a company that's built that and exposing it through an API, and you can start to pull those pieces together to build whatever you're trying to build. And so if you're a fintech entrepreneur, I think that's the best place to start, is go look at what are all the tools available, talk to the people that help build those tools, and they'll give you great advice on what the right user experience is, how to plug them all together. It can be a fun journey as well to figure out all the new ways that you can build new experiences using existing tools that are in the market today.